Good morning, my dear students. Welcome to our Zoology online class. Dear students, in last class we studied about the fifth lesson molecular genetics, and in this chapter we completed two important 5-mark questions. Okay, so in the last class we completed two important 5-mark questions. The first one is one important experiment, Hershey and Chas experiment, and the second one is the chemistry of nucleic acid. Okay, the chemical structure of nucleic acid. Okay, so we have completed these two question answers in the last class, and already I told you these two questions are very important for 5-mark questions. Okay, and today we are going to study about two more topic. Listen very carefully, students. These two topics also 5-mark questions. Okay, so here also two 5-mark. Today we are going to study about two 5-mark questions and many 1-mark questions also there. Okay, so listen very carefully, dear students. So first we are going to study about the first topic of today's class is RNA band. RNA band. See, actually RNA molecule and DNA molecule. Okay, both molecules are acting as a genetic materials. In maximum organism, DNA is acting as a genetic material. And in some organism, the RNA molecule is also acting as a genetic material. Okay, see, actually the amount of RNA present in a cell is 10 times more than the DNA molecule. Okay, so the amount of DNA molecule is very less than the amount of RNA molecules, because the RNA molecules only playing many role. Okay, playing many role or more roles inside the cell. Okay, that's why the amount of RNA is 10 times more than the DNA molecule. So this is the first point about this RNA molecule. So the amount of RNA molecule is 100 times more than the DNA molecule, because the RNA is playing more roles than the DNA molecule. So this is the first point. Then second point about this RNA band is two scientists. One scientist name is Frankel Contract and second scientist name is Singer. Okay, see, Frankel, Contract and Singer. These two scientists observed that some viral species consist of RNA. That means in some viral species body, the RNA molecule is acting as a genetic material. Okay, for example, in tobacco mosaic virus. Okay, tobacco mosaic virus, the genetic material is RNA. Okay, in the body of this tobacco mosaic virus, the genetic material is RNA. So these two people, these two scientists, separated the RNA molecules from the protein of the tobacco mosaic virus. They separated the RNA molecules from the protein of the tobacco mosaic virus. Okay, so this is the second point about this RNA band. And the third point, three scientists, Walter, Brick and Carl Voss. Okay, so these two people said that this RNA is there. These two people only, these three people only first used the word RNA band. These three people or these three scientists only first used the word RNA band. Okay, and they said this RNA is the first stage in evolution. Okay, so in the band, all the living organisms are evolved from one organism or evolved from a particular materials. Okay, but here these three scientists or these three people saying this RNA is the first stage in the evolution. Okay, because of the presence of this RNA molecule only, the organisms are evolving step by step. Understand? Then next point, one scientist, his name is Walter Gilbert. Okay, Walter Gilbert, he says this RNA is the first genetic material in the earth. Okay, so RNA is the first genetic material in the earth. This is said by Walter Gilbert. Understand? Next point, the RNA molecules are acting as both genetic material and also it acting as a catalyst. Catalyst means the material used to speed up some reactions. Okay, so here this RNA molecule acting as both the genetic material and it also acts as catalyst. So the catalyst RNA molecules are called ribosomes. Catalyst RNA molecules are called ribosomes. Understand of you? Understand? And these RNA molecules catalyzing many biological reactions in the body of the living organism. In each and every living organism's body, some reactions are takes place. Okay. Okay, so that biological reactions are catalyzed or speed up by this RNA molecule. So this is the next point about this RNA bite. Okay, and in some organisms, the RNA molecules are acting as a gene regulator. Okay, acting as a gene regulator. That means some RNA molecule in some organism's body, the RNA molecules are binding with the DNA. Binding with the DNA. Thus, this RNA molecule controlling the expression of genes. Controlling the expression of genes. So this is the next point about this RNA bite. So the final point, I repeat once again, this final point. So in some organisms, the RNA molecules are binding with the DNA, and these two molecules are togetherly controlling the expression of the gene. So thus this RNA molecule is acting as a gene regulator. Understand a few? Then the last point. Say two scientists, Andrew Fair and Mello. These two people got Nobel Prize in the year of 2006. Okay, so these two people said this RNA molecule is the active ingredient in the life. Okay, so RNA molecule is one of the very important active ingredient in the life. This is said by two scientists. One scientist name is Andrew Fair and second scientist name is called Mello. Understand, my dear students? So dear students, now we completed the first topic. Okay, RNA. So this is very important. 5 mark question here. Many 1 mark question is there. For example, who separated the RNA molecules from the proteins of the tobacco mosaic virus? Okay, so the answer is Frankel, Conrad, and Singer. 1 mark question. Okay, and second question, who and all said that this RNA is the first stage in evolution? Order, Brick, and Corvus. Okay, understand? Like that, many 1 mark questions are there. So this is very important for 5 mark question and also for 1 mark question. I think there is no 2 mark questions here. Okay, no 2 mark and 3 mark questions in this topic. Hope you understood this topic. Understand a few? Then, shall we move to the next topic? Our next topic is properties of genetic materials. Properties of genetic materials. See, the last class we studied about the bacterial transformation experiment of Griffith. Okay, bacterial transcription experiment of Griffith. Okay, see, at the end of this bacterial transformation experiment, Griffith clearly explained that the DNA is the genetic material in maximum living organisms. DNA is the genetic material in maximum living organisms. Understand? Then Hershey and Charles also proved some evidence. Okay, that the DNA is the genetic material in living organisms. Okay, so Hershey and Charles also proved that the DNA is the genetic material in maximum living organisms. Understand a few? But some virus, now I told you, tobacco mosaic virus. Okay, like that in some viral bodies, this RNA molecule is also acting as a genetic material. So Hershey and Charles saying the DNA is the genetic material in maximum living organism, but in some viral species like tobacco mosaic virus, the RNA is acting as a genetic material. Okay, so the genetic material may be whether this DNA or RNA. Okay, but the genetic material having some important properties. Should have some important properties. So now we are going to study about some important properties. 4 important properties of the genetic material. Okay, here genetic material meaning RNA and DNA, both are called as genetic material. Okay, so the first property of the genetic material is self-replication. The first property is self-replication. Here self-replication meaning, say, whether it is DNA or RNA, a genetic material should have the ability or capacity to replicate itself. Okay, so a genetic material should be able to replicate. So this is one of the very important property of the genetic materials. And here, when a genetic material is involved in the self-replication, it should follow the base pair pattern. Okay, base pair pattern. Okay, base pair pattern meaning base pair rules. Okay, base pair rules mean, for example, in the last class I told you, adenine is always pairing with the thymine. Okay, adenine is always pairing with the thymine by 2 hydrogen bond, and the guanine is pairing with or joined with the cytosine with the help of 3 hydrogen bond. Okay, this is the base pair rule. Okay, so according to this base pair rules, the genetic material should be able to what? replicate. Okay, so this is the first property of the genetic materials. Hope you understood this point. Then second property is stability. A genetic material, whether it is DNA or RNA, okay, the genetic material should be structurally and chemically stable in all time. Okay, all the time the genetic material should be structurally and chemically stable. Understand? It will not change under any situation. It will not change under any situation. Any situations meaning here during the stages of life or during age. Okay, so when the age is changing in the body of the, for example, in human beings' life, the age is changing. Okay, and stage is also changing. Child stage, adolescent stage, adult stage. Okay, old age stage, like that. The stage is also changing. But the genetic material present in the body cells should not change under any situation. So there is a first point about this stability. So now what I said here, so genetic material should be structurally and chemically stable, and it will not change based on the stages in life or based on the age. Hope you understood this point. Then second, in the bacterial transcription experiment, Griffith used the bacterial species, killed the bacterial species by using heat. Okay, so when we kill the bacterial species with the help of heat, some important properties present in the bacterial cell will not destroy. Some important properties will not present inside the bacterial cell will not destroy. Understand? So this is the second point about the stability. Understand? Then you all know the DNA molecule is a double helix model. Okay, double strands are present. So when we apply excessive heat, sometimes these double strands may be separated. Okay, so we can separate the double strand from a single DNA molecule by using excessive heat. Understand? But at the same time, when the same DNA molecule, both strands get a proper atmosphere or proper condition, again they will come and join. So this is the next point about this stability. Okay, so when the two strands of a single DNA molecule is separated by using heat, okay, immediately it will separate. Okay, but when the conditions are favorable, again these two strands are come and joined. Understand of you? Hope you understood this point. Then next, in RNA molecule, yesterday we studied about this hydroxyl group of the RNA molecule. In RNA molecule, two hydroxyl group is present. Okay, one group is present in the 3 symbol end, and one additional OH group also present in the second position. In the last class I told you. Okay, so in RNA molecule, two OH group is present. So because of this presence of these two OH group in the RNA molecule, the RNA molecules can easily degradable. The RNA molecule can easily degradable. So this is the next point about the stability. Understand? Then next, see, actually the DNA molecules are more stable. Okay, the DNA molecules are more stable, but their reaction is very less. Okay, the DNA molecules are very more stable but less reaction. The reaction is very less. Understand? And the reason for this more stable, for this DNA stability, for this DNA molecule is presence of thymine. Okay, two pyrimidates. Since last class we studied about two purine and two pyrimidates. Okay, here thymine and cytosine, these two are the pyrimidates present in the DNA molecule. Okay, so this thymine giving additional stability to the DNA molecule. Thymine giving additional stability to the DNA molecule. Understand? So when we compare the DNA molecule with the RNA molecule, the DNA molecules has more stability. Okay, more stability. The reason is what? The thymine, presence of thymine. Okay, but it's less reactive. The DNA molecules are very less reactive. Understand? So dear students, now we completed two important properties of the genetic material. First one is self-replication, the second one is stability. Okay, the third property is information storage. Whether a DNA molecule or RNA molecule, a genetic material should express the Mendelian characters. Here Mendelian characters meaning character transferred by single gene. Okay, characters transferred by a single gene is called Mendelian characters. Okay, so a genetic material should express the Mendelian character. This is the first point about this information storage property. Then second, an RNA molecule, the genetic RNA is a genetic material. Okay, so the RNA molecules can produce more amount of protein directly. RNA molecules can produce the protein molecules directly, but the DNA molecule cannot produce protein directly. So to produce protein molecule, the DNA is always depending RNA. Listen very carefully. The RNA molecule can synthesize more amount of protein directly, but the DNA molecule cannot produce more proteins directly. So to produce the protein molecule, DNAs are always depending RNA molecule. So this is the next point about this information storage. Understand a few? Understand? Then next point. Actually, the DNA molecules can store more amount of genetic information. DNA molecules can store more amount of genetic information, but the RNA molecule can transfer the genetic information from one generation to next generation. Okay, so dear students, now once again I repeat this information storage point. First point I said the genetic material should express the Mendelian character. This is the first point I said. And the second point is the RNA molecules can directly involve in the protein synthesis, or directly they can synthesize protein, but the DNA molecule depending the RNAs to produce the protein molecules. Then the third point, the DNA molecule can store the genetic information. More amount of genetic materials can be stored by DNA molecules, but the RNA molecule can transfer the genetic information from one generation to next generation. Understand that, my dear students? Then the last properties of this genetic material is variation through mutation. Variations through mutation. Listen very carefully. See, the genetic material should be able to mutate. Mutation means sudden change. So the genetic material should be able to should involve in what is sudden change. Understand you? So the first point about this variation through mutation is able to mutate. Okay, whether it is DNA or RNA, it should be able to mutate. Understand? Actually, the RNA molecule can mutate very fast rate. Okay, RNA molecules can involve in the mutation in very fast rate. Understand all of you? Then, so naturally the virus which are having the RNA as a genetic material, having very short lifespan and they mutate very fastly. Okay, I am saying repeat this point. So the virus, what are the virus having the RNA molecule as their genetic material, their lifespan is very short, but they can mutate very fastly. Understand that, my dear students? Okay, dear students, now we completed one very important 5-mark question, properties of genetic materials. Okay, properties of genetic material. This is very easy question, and there are totally 4 properties are explained in your book. The first property is self-replication, second one is the stability, third one is the information storage capacity, and the fourth one is variation through mutation. Understand? So in this is also a 5-mark question, but many 1-mark questions are here. Okay, and this is very important 5-mark question. This properties of genetic material is a very important 5-mark question. Okay, dear students, hope you all understood today's class and you all enjoyed this class, and try to complete these 2 question answers today itself. Okay, we will meet in the next class. Thank you.